Hello and welcome to a classy Nemesis review of the game Oregon Trail. Now, as the name might imply, this is actually a zombie spoof off the game Oregon Trail, which you may remember from the days of the Apple II and early DOS. Since then, Oregon Trail's had many iterations, but this one really harkens back to the original Oregon Trail, as you'll find out. So let's get started. We're just going to select a new game. You have several difficulty levels to choose from. For this demo, I'm just going to go ahead with normal, and we'll get started. Alright, the game actually starts off with a little intro sequence that runs you through a tutorial on how various game mechanics work. This actually works by sort of a very Angry Birds slingshot style shooting. It's going to be pretty useful to master this skill throughout the game, as it's used a lot. So this is just the little intro sequence here. After you get used to it, this guy comes and saves you. So, like a true Oregon Trail type game, you start off by entering you and your party's names. I actually really like this part because it's one of the many examples of the small attention to details and callbacks to the original Oregon Trail series. And it's really a lot of fun, especially if you're familiar with those. So I'm going to just finish off naming my party here. I actually really like this intro character. It's a great way to introduce new players to the game and sort of ease them into the gameplay. But don't get too attached to him because, as you might expect, he's not going to be around much longer. And we're off. This next screen is a walking shooting stage. Normally you have zombies attacking you. If you have ammo, you can shoot. So this is an example of how this works. In this particular part, you're pretty safe, so you can experiment and get used to the controls. Again, I recommend it because you'll be doing a lot of these types of stages. So we're hopping in the car. And we're off to DC to meet up with the rest of our party. So this next screen is where another large portion of the gameplay takes place. This is your travel screen. As you can see the health of your party members and your vehicle. And as you might expect, you're going to be running into a lot of mishaps. Of course, what Oregon Trail spin-off would be complete without dysentery? This intro sequence is hard-coded, like there's nothing you can do to change the outcome of this beginning part, so you just follow along with it. Conveniently, we've run out of gas at our destination, so we're going into the city. And yep, that looks infected. And a little note from the government. And a little bit of story here. This actually sets the stage pretty well for the events that are going to show up later. So now you have to choose your supplies. First you have fuel. Fuel's what makes your car go, of course. If you run out of fuel, the game pretty much stops until you get more. Medkits allow you to heal your characters, and money allows you to purchase items from people or trade. Batteries, tires, and mufflers are car parts that get damaged throughout your trip and you are forced to replace before you can move on. Ammo's pretty important. Without it, you can't fight zombies, and there are points where you have to fight zombies, so you literally can't win the game. And if you run out of food, your people starve and slowly lose health. If you ever need to check on these items, you can always use your journal to find out what specifically they do. We're about ready to head off. We're going to select this configuration. At this point, your party joins you, and the game is about to begin for real. Now, we have one last thing to take care of. Sometimes you get these screens if you are attacked one-on-one by a zombie, or if you need to finish somebody off because they've been bitten by a zombie. And it's basically as simple as the other mechanics in the game. You pull back, you aim, and release. One thing to keep in mind as you're playing the game is there are actually a lot of really great references to zombie lore, so if you're paying attention, you'll recognize some familiar faces. Now that we're back on the main travel screen, you've noticed we now see everybody's health. You can also click on stats to see how much fuel you have left, how much food you have, and how much zombie activity is in the area. Sometimes you get an event like this and you can choose to participate in it or not. Sometimes the outcome is good, sometimes you have to fight your way out of a group of zombies or something similar. So I'm going to go ahead and approach the man, see what's in this crate. Oh look, we got ammo! So we'll take that and be on our way. Sometimes events like this are actually just graves that you go and look at, and then you get attacked by a zombie one-on-one, and you shoot it and you continue, which is part of a whole achievement thing. As you can see, the game also has weather, which can slow you down and impede your progress in general. The developers of this game, the Men Who Wear Many Hats, also have a version of the game on their website and on their Facebook page. I haven't played a lot of it, but the gameplay seems to be at its core very similar. There are some small differences, but this definitely is a little bit more polished. This is another type of challenge you might encounter. It basically involves moving your car up and down. You just tap above or below, and in this one you want to actually avoid the enemies, in this case zombie deer. If they hit your car, it's going to take damage, which will require some effort to repair later, so you really want to be careful as you progress. There's another version of this kind of battle involving bikers, in that you actually want to knock them off because they'll shoot you otherwise. So I'm just going to dodge a couple of these rows here. I think I'm almost there. There are actually a couple other boss fights too involving giant grizzly bears and some other surprises. Yay, I've survived the attack. Excellent. So we'll be arriving at our first city. And this is why you have extra supplies. Now, when you arrive at a city, you actually have a couple options for buying supplies. The prices vary from city to city. You can also sell some of your own supplies. Those prices vary as well. You also have the opportunity to check out jobs, which are a great way to earn some supplies. We'll come back to those later. You can also stop by the auto shop, which will allow you to purchase spare parts for your car. You can also repair the car if you have enough money and not any scrap to do it yourself. You can also take a look at their upgrades. They have various effects, they'll tell you right there. You also have the option to check your supplies. From here you can set your pace and your rations. Just like Oregon Trail, a slower pace is a little bit safer, but it'll take longer. Setting less rations will make your people more susceptible to sickness. You also have the option to trade with people that are in the area. You won't always have people who are available to trade, so sometimes you have to wait to find traders. The next menu we're going to take a look at is the car menu. From here you can try to repair your car if the health is low on it. To do this, you're going to use your scrap supplies. When you attempt a repair like this, you actually want to use enough scrap to give you a good chance of success. Otherwise, you're just wasting your scrap and you won't be able to use it for trades later on. You also have an upgrade menu here. From this you can check to see what kind of benefits have been added to your car to make your trip a little bit easier. Finally, you can take a look at your road map and see how far you've progressed. You can take a look at your party and see how their health is. You can rest to try to heal them up a bit. Unfortunately, this won't heal you, your main character, but it will heal your party members. You'll also notice that every time you rest, it actually consumes a little bit of your food, so you want to keep an eye on that as well. Next on the party menu list is the option to kill your party members. If one of them is infected, you definitely want to do that, otherwise bad things could happen. Finally, you can talk to a stranger. This doesn't serve any actual function, it just is a nice way to find out more about the story and is kind of entertaining. Now that we've gone through all of the options, I'm going to show you what that scavenge option looks like. Again, it's that tap to move, pull and release to shoot type gameplay. Some zombies require 2 hits, some are fast moving, most only require 1 hit, and the idea here is to get as many supplies as possible. It is timed, so if you survive long enough, the stage will automatically end. It will also end if you collect all the supplies that appear, or if you get hit by a zombie. If you do get hit by a zombie, you'll take damage, and you'll have to heal that up later. Now that we have some money, we're going to go to the auto shop and buy that upgrade. Lastly, I'll show you what one of these jobs looks like. It's basically a shootout. You don't have to move at all, but you have to avoid getting shot by other characters. Basically, when you're shooting, you're vulnerable. Otherwise, you're protected. The trick here is to time your shots. So unless you really master the shooting mechanic of this game, you might want to stay away from the high difficulty job board items, as you will take damage and you don't get really much in return. A lot of times when you leave a city, you have to beat one final event. This is a very common one, where you have to cross a horde of zombies. Your success is dependent on how large the group is and how docile they are. So you have a couple options here. You can wait to see if the status of the horde changes, you can break through, or you can try to sneak, which we're doing now. Sometimes you're also given an option to hire some mercenaries to help you through. And we succeeded. Just in case you were wondering, you don't have to be in a city to stop and check all your stats and gather supplies. In fact, sometimes you'll be forced to stop because your car has broken down and it needs parts, or you're attacked by a zombie horde and you need to defend the station wagon. So that's about everything I have to show you. Obviously there are a lot more surprises, particularly toward the end of the game. I don't want to give those away, so definitely check out the game. It's available on the Apple Store and the Android Store for $3. So if you have either of those devices, you can play it there. Also, don't forget the developer has a version of the game on their website and on their Facebook page. Honestly, I highly recommend checking this game out. It's well worth every penny you pay for it, and there's a lot of replay value in here. I'm going to show you one last thing here. We're going to go to the menu, and you'll see you have achievements just like any game, but I have to say I really like these little icons. They're really pretty funny, and some of the achievements are pretty well thought out, so check those out. Of course, you also have the typical option of adjusting your music and sound effects. And finally, you can look at tombstones. You encounter these on your various playthroughs. I'm not really sure what happens if you get them all or what they do, but it's interesting nonetheless. So that pretty much wraps it up. This is Oregon Trail, and I hope you enjoyed this playthrough, and thanks for watching.